now. Good. I'm an underwater photographer and cameraman, and also a freediving instructor trainer. So as a kid, I always had an interest in the ocean. I also even wanted to become a marine biologist. That interest led to an aunt giving me a book as a gift, and there was a section on orca in there with a little description of what orca are, and that always fascinated me, just the way they looked. This was the apex predator. Years went on and things worked out where I did not become a marine biologist. I ended up studying chemical engineering. Due to circumstances, I ended up working in the oil field. And around about 2009, there was a recession, and that was around about the time I decided that I had enough of the oil field and this isn't something I want to do anymore. And I always still had this love for the ocean, so I started scuba diving, and I actually, in my time off, worked up to the point of becoming a scuba instructor. This is where I started developing my photography more using freediving. I'm very lucky to be working with guys like Ivar, who know the coast around northern Norway really well, and they also know the marine life.
It's a cold morning, but anyway, I should not go down with the divers, so I'm glad.
Between us, we have a pretty good idea of potential spots where we might find the animals. Also, understanding the weather, knowing where you can dive or where you can sail to is also a really important factor. That's perfect conditions. We need to get in there. So I'm on the boat, I'm looking out, and we see a group of humpback whales approaching us.
Right there, right there.
Ready?
So the first thing I do is I dive down and wait for them. Basically, you see the shapes long before you see any fine details. So you see these shadows appearing out of the water. As they come closer, I look up, and you can see that now in this moment they're aware of me. It's really humbling to have an animal that big stop, turn, and look at you, really, really look at you before moving on. And that's not just an animal which is seeing something in the water and trying to avoid it. That's genuine curiosity. That's really something special to experience.
I wonder if they are looking for whales over there.
Yeah, they're just there. Based on what we've seen before, we tend to go to places where we know there are areas where the herring tend to go in, and where we've seen whales before, but that can change from day to day.
All right, they went down. So back to the catamaran. It's a lot of in and out of the boat today, and moving around.
Right. Oh!
Yeah, they moved. I think the herring went down.
There's birds right overhead. There's an eagle, and all of these orca are racing in the same direction. There's something there.
Yeah.
All right. More side on, more side on. Perfect. And switch off the engine. So do not swim towards them until I tell you to. Okay, very quietly get in the water. Now.
We come into this fjord and we think that there's orca here. We look around and all we see in every single direction is orca and humpback, and they're just everywhere. Every 20 seconds you have orca coming next to you, and calves coming to look at you, and you have humpbacks just appearing out of nowhere and then disappearing, and followed by more orcas. It's one of the most intense experiences I've had with so many animals.
Part of the reason it can be so intense is that when you're freediving, you are using a lot less equipment compared to scuba diving. This means your movement, both physically and in terms of your ability to operate at variable depths, is not as restricted. This usually results in better experiences.
As a kid, the idea of seeing one in the wild, like from shore, isn't something I ever imagined would happen. So to see them underwater is just the furthest thing I would ever imagine would actually happen to me.
That's awesome.
That was positively amazing.
This is some of the most impressive vocalizations I've ever heard.
You can hear it.
If you grab me a blanket, I can just sleep out here on the paddleboard.